Welcome guys, it's Sid. I'm back with another video and today we're talking about money. That's right, money. So previously I talked about my interview at HSBC and how I was successful at getting an interview and how you can do well in an interview. But what I never talked about was how much salary they actually paid me. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about salary, how much you can earn potentially as a data analyst in the banking industry, and some of my previous earnings from previous jobs that led me to where I am today. So without any further delay, let's make a start. So the first thing I'll point out before we get into how much I earned at HSBC Bank, I want to talk a little bit about a few roles that I did just before I joined the banking industry. So my very first data role, believe it or not, was at Google. Now, right up until that moment, I was working in sales and marketing. I wasn't earning really well. My salary at the time was about £30,000 UK. Now, what happened all of a sudden was one day I decided to quit my job and I wanted to become a contractor. And this was my first role in data, and that was as a program manager working in Google in their London Victoria office. And I was paid an hourly wage of £20.72. Now, when you factor that in and you annualize it over 12 months, I would have earned a salary of around 40,000 UK pounds. And in US dollars, that's around $48,000. That's not a bad salary, and that was actually a really good salary for me at the time back in 2017. Now, the key point to note here was that it was a contracting role. I didn't get paid lunches, no holidays, no sickness. So that's something you need to factor in if you want to be working in a permanent role versus a contracting role. Fast forward 1 year, my role at Google came to an end. I then joined in 2018 a new company, and that was a company called Shell Oil. I was based in their London office working as a paid media data analyst. And again, this time I was a contractor, and this time I was earning a salary of £250 a day. And that figure on an annualized basis would work out to be round about 60,000 UK pounds as a paid media data analyst working in Shell. And once again, that role was a contract, but this time round I had a bit more flexibility. So as you can see, I've already made a huge jump in 1 year. And the reason for that is because contracting allows you to gain skills very fast. So with a contract, you have to take a bit of a risk. You don't get the promise of a permanent role. You won't get the career progression within a certain company, but what you can do is leave, take the experience from one contract role and go straight into another contract role at a higher salary, at a higher pay rate. So my first top tip for you guys is to, if you want to fast track your career, consider contracting as a potential route to fast track your career in data analytics. And then whilst I was at Shell, I decided to move back into permanent work. And it was at this point I applied for a role at HSBC Bank. And round about 2019, I was finally interviewed and offered the role as a data visualization analyst at HSBC Bank. And it was at this point at HSBC, my earnings as a data professional really started climbing high. So at HSBC, I was initially offered a role of £55,000, which was less than what I was already earning. However, because I did well at the interview stage, I negotiated with HR at the time, and I told them that I would only join them for a higher salary. So in the end, I negotiated a salary and I was given a salary of £63,000. But here's the thing, in banking, you get really nice bonuses. The bonuses in banking are some of the highest. So if you work in banking, you can expect a good bonus if your bank performs well and the economy is doing quite well. So in 2019, at the end of the financial year, I was given a bonus of £5,000, taking my total salary to £68,000, which in US dollars is just short of $82,000. Now, two things I will mention is that I negotiated hard for that salary. So if you are looking to earn well in data analytics, you need to be negotiating after you've delivered an interview, because it's at this point that hiring managers can make a judgment call of how much you're actually worth. And if you do well in an interview, you've got a right to actually demand for more. The one thing I will say is that this is probably the only chance you're going to get to actually negotiate your pay, because once you join a company, it becomes harder to negotiate your salary after you've already joined a business. Usually pay reviews are only done once a year. So if you want to earn well right from the very start, make sure you negotiate well during the job offer process. Now, just to put things into perspective, in 2019, when the average worker in the UK was only earning £33,000. So as you can see, with me earning almost £70,000, I was earning substantially more than the average worker in the UK. And that rings true for many data professionals in many other Western markets as well. So in the US, for instance, you can also expect to earn really good salaries if you work in the field of data science or data engineering or data analytics in general. Now, a few points of advice and a few words of advice here. One thing I will say is that many people will tell you that jumping around different companies does not look good for your CV or your resume. That's a load of rubbish, because if you look at my resume, you'll see that I've actually done really well by jumping around from company to company to company. And in fact, I've managed to earn a lot faster compared to some of my peers who have stayed in one company and managed to progress a lot faster than them. And the reason why is because a lot of companies are slow to internally promote their workers, whereas when you jump around externally from company to company, those companies that have the demand for data analytics the most will be happy to hire you quickly and pay you quite handsomely at the same time. And the other big thing of note is that I actually picked 3 really high paying industries. One of them was tech with Google, the second was big oil, and now in big finance or big banks. So those 3 industries are some of the highest paying industries for data analytics, generally speaking. If you work in other industries, you can expect to earn a good living, but those 3 industries particularly pay some of the highest salaries across the world. And another point of note is that your worth today is actually determined by your skills and your experience. So one thing you got to bear in mind is, in order for you to negotiate a higher salary or demand better pay, you've got to demonstrate your ability with data skills or with business. Now, me personally, I'm not the strongest with data skills. Although I can use a variety of different data tools and I can code in different languages, there are far more smarter individuals out there who you will meet as well, who are much better at coding, who are much better at machine learning or AI or development in various platforms and tools. But what you want to focus on is your strengths. And my biggest strength is actually my business skills. One thing I'm very good at is translating data into business value. And it was for this reason I got some of those jobs. And for that reason, I got hired and paid some of those salaries. So guys, pick one of those 2 routes, whether you want to focus purely on data or whether you want to focus more on the business side. And either route or path will help you drive your salary and your career expectations and your career income. And today I'm privileged to say that I actually earn even more now. I earn more than what I was offered at HSBC. My salary has gone up. I now work at JP Chase in their office in London. And with more money comes more responsibility. The more you earn, the more companies will expect you to lead. The more companies will expect you to deliver. So bear that in mind, guys. When you go for more senior roles, you'll be put on the spot and more will be expected of you. And that includes longer nights, longer hours, more meetings with stakeholders, senior stakeholders, and more in terms of driving bottom line profits and sales for those businesses. So if you want to earn more, be prepared to sacrifice a bit more of your time or expect a higher expectation of you, especially from a business perspective. And the final point I want to finish on, guys, is that if there's anything I want you to take away from this video, is that you can actually earn really well working in data analytics. My career has not been a linear one. I had to jump around from job to job to job, but where I am today, I can show you and prove to you that data analytics does pay very well. And there's a huge shortage in the industry for skilled data professionals, especially those who can apply it to business. So guys, if you're ever questioning whether or not data is for you as a career path, then you should have no doubt, because you can earn very well. And some markets like the US pay even more than they do, for instance, in the UK. And ultimately, data literacy and financial literacy go hand in hand. And that's one other thing I want you guys to think about. When you improve on your data skills, you must and you need to focus and improve on your financial skills as well. So this is my very first video discussing money as a topic, as a general subject matter, but you can expect more videos from me on finance and financial literacy. So in a future video, we'll look at which countries pay the most as a if you were a data professional, which industries also pay the most. I've already touched on some of those today. We'll also look at whether being a contractor or a self-employed contractor actually pays more than being an employee of any normal business. And finally, in a future video, I'll also give you some passive income ideas as well. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Talking about money is actually a bit sensitive for many people, but I'm happy to be transparent with you guys. I want you guys to be motivated, and more than anything, I want to share learnings and insight from my life with you guys. I hope you've enjoyed the content, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.